We are live. Let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Welcome back to another live and amplified Indie Fusion podcast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we're back at it again with another amazing podcast. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. We have Bailey Taylor. How's it going?
Hello. I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw or heard your new song, and, luckily we already had you on the books, and, it just, life works out that way sometimes,
I know. I was excited. I knew the song would be out when I had this on my calendar. I was like, oh, this is perfect. We'll be able to talk about it.
Right. So how's everything been going? How's obviously about 3 days post release? How's it feel to have a new song out in the world?
It's good. I've gotten really good feedback with this one. I mean, it's a fun song. It's very upbeat. So I feel like I've gotten a lot of good feedback because it's a song that it's fun, but it's also out of my comfort zone with everything else that I have put out. So I was actually a little nervous to release this one, but I made a joke with my producer. I was like, we'll put it out first of the first single of the year. And then if everyone hates it, we'll just pivot back to the old stuff we were doing. Nice. He was like, reverse. But no, we've actually gotten really good feedback with this one. So it's been good. It was a good release weekend.
Nice. Where do you think the fear came from of putting it out?
My own expectations. But also just, I've always been just a very true songwriter. Like I like to write what's personal to me and what is just true to like my experiences in my life. So I tend to get more like nostalgic and I don't know, like reminiscing in my songs. But this one, it's still true. It's still a true message of all girls collectively, I feel like. But it was just a more of a fun one to write and kind of lay back off of like the serious, nostalgic, truthful songs that I love putting out.
Fair. So the name of the song is called Speak Girl. What's the story behind it?
This one, I wrote it with Kaylin Robertson and Liam Slater, which Heartbroke, I also wrote with them. And then there's another one that I've released. I want to say that I've written with them. Both great writers, great friends. But Kaylin actually brought the idea in. And she was like, I have this title, Speak Girl. She was like, and I think I just want it to be about how we speak. And it was funny because when she brought it up, she was like, babe, you know, like we always say one thing, but really we mean the other, but we won't say we mean the other. So it was funny to have like two girls perspectives on it. And then Liam, he has a girlfriend. So he was like, I can attest to all of it. He was like, this is true. But it was funny to have two girls and a guy writing this song with both perspectives on it. Right. Yeah, it just fell out once we started talking about it and all of the funny lines that we collectively say.
Nice. I love it. And how long has this song kind of been in the works?
We wrote it probably a little over a year ago.
Okay.
I didn't have plans to release it until probably like later into the year last year. When I was looking back through my catalog of songs, I was like, this would actually be a really fun one to produce fully and have it be like my first single of the year. Cause I feel like starting out the year on an upbeat high note is a good move. Oh, yeah. And just like I said, trying something different for 2025, the start of it, I was like, I think I want this one to be the one I put out. So
yeah. So was the original, like, did you just originally think like, hey, this will be a song, like when I'm with the girls, I'll play it maybe, and that's kind of the existence of the song? Or?
Yeah, I feel like there's a ton of songs. I mean, 95% of the songs written in this town are kind of just tucked tucked away into a little book or a notes app or document. And you just never know, like, if you'll have that feeling of like, yeah, I think I want to release this. And at first it was just like one of those songs that was like, oh, this would be fun to like play live. Like this would be, I can already see like the crowd involvement with it. And we all just loved it. And then it was like stuck in our heads. And then this was a fan favorite of my family. My family loved it. So that also helped me choose, whether to put it out or not. So yeah, but I feel like it's either, I always say you get a feeling. It's like a relationship. You get a feeling if you know it's the one, if you know it's the one to release. At least I do. So
Yeah. Sure.
once I was looking back through them, I was like, yep, this is the one.
Nice. And putting it out right at the beginning of the year, I feel like a lot of people are a little nervous putting music out like right at the beginning of the year, especially like I feel like the first week of January is like the time that a lot of people do it. And then between January and February, it's like, oh, do we put new music out? Like unless it's a Valentine's Day song, is it worth putting music out? But I feel like right now is like the best time because you're just there's really nothing like big in your way. Like, so between like mid-January and like mid-March is like the optimal time to get that first song out.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like January, I feel like a lot of us in this town we spend December, January planning out the next year. But we are very eager to release something because a lot of artists, I feel like if you're not releasing Christmas music, you stop releasing probably like October. Because then the next 2 months are like people are in and out of town for holidays and stuff. So on the other hand, I release Christmas music, but a lot of people don't do that here. So by the time January rolls around, they're like, I haven't released anything in 2-3 months. Like I'm ready. But I knew I wanted it early in the year, but I loved that I did February because I felt like it was like a little Valentine's Day gift to all the guys to understand us girls. And then just like all the Galentine's parties, I was like, this will be great. This is good.
Nice.
So yeah.
It's worth the effort and it's worth putting it out there. So now that it's out, are you working on your like next release, or are you kind of letting this be what it is and then you'll kind of figure it out from there?
A little mix of both. I'm so bad. I feel like I'm so behind on. There's either people who have like the next 2 years planned out, and then there's people who are like, okay, we'll take this month by month. I'm that person.
Fair.
I had plans. I still do have plans to release another single, probably like beginning of April.
Okay.
And then I want to release like an EP, like a 5-6 song EP in the summer. But I'm also have plans, which I am doing this. This is a definite. I have a Christmas 2 album coming out in like October, November. So it's just a lot of music at once to be doing in the studio. So I'm praying it all works out. But that's the ideal music world for me right now would be to have another single, another 5-6 song EP after that, and then switch gears to Christmas because you can never start listening to Christmas music too early.
No. And honestly, I mean, I'm sure I probably we talked about this the last time you were on, if it was election day, but like, if you're not releasing your Christmas music that first week in November, you're missing the boat.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I know. And with an album, I was like, I do Christmas shows in October, which everyone always thinks that's crazy, but I'm like, it is a little crazy, but it's also so much fun.
Yeah.
But I do a festival in October. It's 2 weekends, all weekend long, and it's all Christmas. It's Christmas decor.
Okay, so where's this festival at, or what is this festival?
It's in Columbiana, Ohio, and it's called Christmas in the Woods. And it was so well written out. The creators, they do the Christmas festival in October, and it's like 200 vendors of homemade like Christmas decorations, and they do it in October so that people can buy their gifts and have them in time for Christmas, and then they do the fall one in August. So they do it like 2 months ahead. And I'm
Nice.
like, that's genius. That's so smart.
Right.
But I do the Christmas festival, the entertainment there, and like I said, it's 2 weekends long, 4 days, and I want the Christmas album for those shows. There's thousands of people who attend this festival every day. So I was like, I need the hard copies out and ready by October. So
Nice.
some people may think I'm crazy for releasing in October, but what's a month early? It would be
Right.
coming beginning of November if not. So
Right. I'm with you. And you may have just booked a trip for me come
yes, it's
mid-October.
so much fun. I always say sometimes the weather is the only downfall, but even
Mhm.
that, I'm like, it's such a magical time. The woods and how it's decorated. I love
Right.
it. And the food is great.
Uh, the food is the game changer, you know.
Yes.
It's one of those things where like the last two Christmases, I feel like I've been such a Grinch where it's like I love Christmas. Like it's my favorite holiday. But for whatever reason the last 2 years it's just kind of been like, yeah, I don't care. Like I'm
Yeah.
down. And so this
Well, this
year,
might just change your mind because the
right?
food here, I haven't tried a bad thing at this festival. So
Fair.
the second or third weekend of October,
Yep. I,
plan it out.
I will look at it. I will look at it.
All right.
So you seem to kind of have an idea of how you want 2025 to go. How often are you playing shows right now? Is that starting to pick up in Nashville, or is it still kind of a slow time?
It's starting to, I feel like February, March will be back to normal.
Mm.
January, like I said, January is always like there's eager people and then there's people still traveling a lot, just taking time off. But I am in the middle of just like booking rounds. I'm really trying to get back out there with just in town. I was like, I've been going to rounds, which I feel like I haven't gone to a round, like not even being in the round. I just haven't
Yeah,
attended a round
yeah,
in I feel like forever. So I've been trying to get back to just going and being a guest in the audience, and it really like motivates me to want to be up on stage. So I
yes.
am in the middle of booking rounds, and then I'm trying to book some festivals in the summer, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's all just up in the air right now. Just a lot of waiting on emails and
Fair.
messages.
That is the hardest part about booking shows is it's like
Yeah,
you can like
the
everybody
waiting game.
it's the waiting game, but then it's like, okay, do I call? Do I email? Do I do this? And it's like it's six of one, half dozen of the other because you call, they don't answer,
Yeah,
but you email and then they don't
it's
get
like
your email.
8 business days later. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if they do, it's like 8 days later and it's like, oh, sorry, that weekend's already booked. And it's like,
Yeah, and a lot of like the websites that I do try, or just Instagram bios that I'm like looking into, they don't have, like you said, a number. So it's either like you're either doing one of those like contact forms on their website, which
mhm,
those are never checked,
mhm,
and or you're like emailing them, which that could take up to weeks
yeah,
to get a response. So it
yeah,
is hard. I'm like, why can't they just have a number? Why
right.
can't I just call?
I actually had this idea. I found there's this venue that I found in Alabama, and I was going to use it as an excuse to go to Nashville for the week. And I
Mhm.
was like, because we started doing this live podcast thing last year, um, and I have had this dream of like booking out like a week, 2 week tour thing. And I was like, oh, if I booked, I found this venue that you basically tell them what day you want to come in and do your deal, and they'll book you. And so basically, you fill out this form and you tell them, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I want to go on this day. And supposedly they just book you. Except I never got an email back. I never got nothing back. So I was like,
Really?
okay, well, I guess, they don't,
Huh.
they're not interested or whatever. And then I went and looked on their calendar and I wasn't on their calendar. So I was like, okay, well, sweet. I'm glad that form works. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
what's the
I
point
know.
of,
It's a
what's the
wait.
point?
It's a waiting game. It's all one big game that
Yeah.
I lose at every time, I feel like.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
hey, keep trying, I
Right.
guess.
Right. I yeah, I guess that's the importance of having a good EPK and performance videos and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. So,
um, so we're the day after the Super Bowl as we're recording this. You said you were at a Super Bowl block party?
yes, we moved. We've only been here a few months in
Hmm.
our house, and our we know like three neighbors around us, and the one of those neighbors, they threw like a neighborhood block party, and we have this Facebook group chat, like group message thing of
Yeah.
like our neighborhood. So
Yeah.
they posted in that and was like, "Hey, we're trying to like meet new neighbors. We're having a Super Bowl party at this address," and it was a pretty good turnout, and we were able to meet some neighbors. And I was like, "This was such a smart idea to be able to meet more people in this neighborhood." So it was fun. It was
Nice.
good get together.
At least you know it's kind of somewhat controlled, where it's like people randomly from other parts of the city aren't just randomly showing up.
Yeah. Yeah. I love when we moved in, they were the girl who helped us with the house. She was like, there's a Facebook group chat that you can join and like they post things in there about like your neighborhood and things if they're selling anything, like they'll
Yeah.
post it there. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like it makes you feel like you're in a community. So
Hmm.
I do love it. You get warnings on like I keep getting every time I open Facebook, it's a post that says loose cow. And I guess there's a neighbor there's a neighbor down the street, not in this neighborhood, but like right outside of her neighborhood.
Hmm.
And he has like 4 or 5 cows, and like this cow keeps getting out. Keeps getting out and like standing in the middle of the road. So I was like, I like laugh every time I go in because someone keeps posting like, "Be careful, cow on the loose." But I was like, oh
Nice.
my God. Not what I
It,
expected to see in the neighborhood group chat.
right? It's almost become a point where it's like a running joke at this point, where it's like,
I'm always like, be careful. My mom always used to say like, watch for deer. Like when we would leave, if it was like dark out or anything, the joke in the house is like, oh, watch for deer, like back home. And
mhm,
now it's like, oh, watch for cow,
right?
for the cow.
It's like a cow, you can get out of the way because that cow ain't going to move very fast. But if you don't catch it in time, that cow is going to destroy your car more than a
Yeah,
deer will. So
yeah, I know.
it's
But yeah,
it's.
it's funny.
So how you feeling about the turnout of the game?
I was surprised at how high scoring of a Super Bowl game it was, but I feel like I had to cheer for my home state, even though they're
Mhm.
not my team. I was
Right.
like, they're still from PA.
Yep.
I'll cheer for the Eagles. No,
Right.
the family I babysit for down here, they're from Philly, so they were like, "You better be cheering for the Eagles." So I was like, "Okay, I'll cheer for the Eagles this time,
Right.
since the
Right.
Steelers aren't in it."
Yeah. Fair enough. I since we didn't talk about it last time, I knew you were from Pennsylvania, but I didn't know if like you were closer to Philly or Pennsylvania. So I was just like, let's throw the generic question out there and see what happens. So
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I'm Pittsburgh, so it's like 4 hours from Philly, I think.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I was like, okay, I guess we still have a home state team in the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, so we'll cheer for
Right.
that.
Right. I had such a hard time rooting for either team. I was just like, I cannot stand Philly. I cannot stand Kansas City. But the only redeeming factor that Philly had was their defensive coordinator used to be the defensive coordinator for the Bears, and so in that fact,
They they
Philly
had
got
they had your vote.
they had my vote, and the plus all the attention around Kansas City right now, it's just kind of like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to see
I was like,
Travis,
I really don't care either way, but
right?
if I had to choose, I guess it would be
Right.
Philly.
I was hoping to see Travis Kelsey start crying, but you know that's just me. I'm kind of dark like that. So,
But
um, but so kind of looking forward. You said you're trying to get more shows on the books and all that stuff.
yeah, yeah. I last time I think we talked. 2024 was a big year for wedding planning. I kind of stepped away from
Yeah.
I feel like my career kind of got put on the back burner. And I was in and out of town so much. I didn't play in town really at all. I
Hmm.
a handful of times I played in town. Um, So this year, that's a big goal of mine, is just to get out there and play shows. And just book rights. I'm like, I just want to write all week long and play shows all week long. So
Sure.
that's the goal.
Yeah. Have you had a show yet this year,
I'm
or
not.
so are you kind of nervous since it's been a little bit since you've had a show?
I think like an hour before I go on, I will be. But I'm more excited than nervous right now because
Sure.
like I said, I've been going to rounds just to support friends and everything,
Mhm.
and I just miss it so much. And watching them, I'm like, oh, I like that could be me. Like I want to be singing on stage again, and I think I'm more excited and eager to get on stage than I am nervous. But
Fair.
an hour before the show, I'll be nervous. I'm sure.
Fair. I feel like writers' rounds though are a little bit different than like a
Yeah.
normal show because it's like it's not just you.
Yes, but
So
then on the flip side of that, it's more quiet than a normal show would be,
fair.
and everyone's listening a lot of the time. It depends on the venue. Either everyone's listening or everyone's just doesn't even know you're there.
Right. Right. Right.
But some the rounds where you have peers next to you who are supporting you, but also I'm like they are judging what I'm doing also.
Hmm.
And then a quiet room, I'm like, oh, the nerves go there because I'm just like, oh, I can't mess up in front of peers in a
Right.
quiet room. They'll hear everything.
Right. Right. We'll have to get you on one of our live podcast showcases because for whatever reason, I haven't quite figured this one out yet. But every time we book one, it always seems to be at a pinball bar,
Oh, really?
or they have a whole bunch of pinball machines, and it's just like the last show we did. There's just people ripping pinball machines all over the place, and that we can't tell them to stop because they're
Yeah,
spending money. And then, but luckily, after like 20 minutes, they kind of got the hint, like, "Hey, shut up. We're trying to."
we're doing a show.
Yeah, we're doing a thing over here. And but that I felt so bad for the first musician that was up because she was just like so freaked out because they were just like ding 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 ding, doing all that stuff. And my co-host asked was like, is that getting annoying? Because I feel like that would just throw me off if I was up there singing. And she's like, yeah, it's a bit of a grind, but we're getting through it. So
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I would love to be a part of that the next one you do.
right? And it's one of those deals where it's just like, then it got dead silent. And then it's like, that's a whole different level of fear and intimidation because now it's
Yeah.
like, okay, now it's all on you.
Yep. I've been there. So
Yep.
I get that.
Right, right, right. So uh, obviously meeting the new neighbors and stuff, but outside of music, what have you been doing recently? I feel like that's a weird question to ask now because it's only been a few months, but
No. Well, you have new goals for the
yeah,
year. Um, I don't know if have you heard of 12-3-30 on the treadmill?
no.
It was like I feel like it was a big thing last year going around, like the influencers and everyone were
Mm,
doing it, but it's uh 12 incline, speed of 3 for 30 minutes.
okay.
And at first I was like, oh, this is easy. Like this could be a goal of mine.
All right.
It's you really break a sweat doing it. And it's like it's not as easy as it sounds, but I had the goal before knowing it wasn't as
Mm,
easy.
right.
I was gonna do it every day for the year. So far so good. I haven't missed a day. And it just makes me I love how it makes me feel. And I keep saying I'm working on my cardio for when I'm on big arena stages. I
Nice.
working on my incline walk, listening to music, trying to sing to it and not be out of breath. Um, but just staying active, I feel like, especially in the winter months, me personally, I need to stay active to stay out of my brain and just
Hmm.
with the seasonal darkness, I just need to be like working out and just keeping myself busy. So
Fair.
that was a goal of mine to do every day, and then just going to the gym, just being with friends. I'm really trying to balance music with also spending like a day of the week intentionally going out, like I said, either
Mm,
for a round or just going out to dinner with friends. Just trying to build community and
hmm.
keep my keep my face in the community, I guess. So yeah, it's been fun. I've kept that goal also, and it's been really good to catch up with friends and just get out there and do new things.
Yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
but one day a week, I can do that. I can do
Right.
one day a week. I'm such a homebody, so I would stay home every day if I could.
Right.
Every
Right.
night. Like once I'll go out during the day, but like once the night hits, I'm like, oh, I really could just lay on the couch and put a TV show on or
Right. Well,
draw, whatever.
especially right now with it being so cold outside, it's just like
Yeah,
I'm good.
I know. So my husband and I was like, okay, we should make a weekly effort, one day of the week, just to be intentional, go out either with friends, go see a show, or just do something. I was like, we're young and we're in Nashville. Like there's so much to do, and I feel like I've lived here for so long and haven't explored the city as much as I should. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's the goal.
Fair. I love it. I've actually told myself I'm gonna take some time off, like literal time off from work, but not book anything. Like not try and book it out to be like, oh, hey, you're gonna do all this crazy stuff. Like you got 6 days off, 7 days off, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Let's book it up with podcasts. Let's book it up. Like I'm literally trying to see what would happen if I just have 7 days and nothing to commit to, just to see what happens.
Yeah. I think it's important to have that time too, where you kind of just step away from your normal routine and take time to relax, refresh. And you never know, you might find something new about yourself that you love or something new you love doing. And it'll be a good time well spent.
Fair. My biggest fear is that I'll find out that I'm actually as lazy as I think I am.
And you might just need a week to just relax. So
Right.
give yourself some grace if that does happen.
Fair. Very fair. But yeah. So I've really enjoyed the conversation. Excited to hear more new music from you. I'm glad. Obviously, getting married and all that stuff is important, and I'm glad 2025 is going to be the year of a lot more new music with you.
Oh, thank you. I know I'm excited. Thank you for having me on again. It's always a blast talking to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. If anybody wants to check out your music, all that fun stuff, where's the best place to find you?
I'm on Instagram and TikTok under Baytay Music, Baytay Music. And then I'm on anywhere you listen to music, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Pandora, under Bailey Taylor.
Awesome. Awesome. The Baytay part always trips me up. Whenever I try and tag you in something, I'm like, why is she not popping? Oh, it's Baytay. That's right. Okay.
I know. I've thought about changing it to Bailey Taylor because I still get asked if my music name is Baytay. And I know it's confusing, but I was like, I just can't bring myself to change the username yet. It's like it's a part of me that I feel like it's been my nickname forever, so I don't know if I can change that.
Although, if you started a trio, you're Bailey Taylor, then you find somebody else with the first name of Bailey and somebody else with the first name of Taylor, then you become the Baytay Trio.
This is true. That would be great.
I don't know. I
If you
just
find
think
those people, let me know.
right? It's like, yeah, we're gonna force it to make it work. So I love it so much. But once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And thank you everybody for tuning in. If you want to listen to Speak Girl, the link will be in the description below, plus all her socials and all that fun stuff. So you'll be able to find Bailey quick and easy and catch one of her shows, new music, all that fun stuff. But once again, thank you everybody for joining us, and we will catch y'all later.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of Live and Amplified's Indie Fusion podcast. If you'd like to support anything Live and Amplified does, please follow us on all of our social media platforms at Live, the letter N, Amplified. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, any of them, all of them, at Live, the letter N, Amplified. And if you would like to buy any official Live and Amplified merch, you can do so at our merch shop. Link in the description below. Once again, thank you all. Have a great day.